Look, I know you've already achieved unheard of levels of success as an entrepreneur. So the real question is, while the world is radically shifting, how do we not get caught up in the chaos, but instead access our untapped capacity? You know what I'm talking about. I'm Katie Richardson, business coach to superstar entrepreneurs and host of What's Working Now. I'm here to show you how to unlock and magnify your untapped potential so that we can create the dream, live with purpose, and do what we are born to do. On this podcast, we are asking a different set of questions. Be present, be curious, be right now. Let's go. Hit that subscribe button and go to what'sworkingnow.com, drop in your email, join the waitlist so you never miss an episode of What's Working Now. And I'll see you on the inside. Hello. Welcome to What's Working Now. Today, we are going to learn to flip the script and become the money magnet you deserve. How are we doing this? I've got Tasha Chen today. She is an expert on helping you manifest money. Tasha is the founder of the Science of Getting Rich Academy and the international best-selling author of Deservingness, the art of getting more of what you want. I mean, we all want that, right? She helps her clients manifest their greatest desires using a time-tested program with her unique proven principles. I love this, Tasha. I'm so excited. Implementing universal laws such as the law of attraction, Tasha has helped transform the lives of hundreds. She has cracked the code to creating abundance, happiness, wealth, and health. Tasha, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So Tasha, I can't help but think there's got to be a story behind how you got into this and where this unique perspective comes from. So tell us the story of an experience that really has shaped that unique perspective that you have.
Well, like most women, there's so many stories.
Sure.
There's so many stories, but, listening to you read a little bit about me, it like the download just came. This is the story for today. And I've been teaching about money and showing women how to manifest money because I did it for myself first. I had one of those trifecta moments in my life. I lost a business. I filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. I got divorced. I almost lost my kids and my health, all of it, all at the same time.
Wow.
And I realized in that moment that I still wanted to be an entrepreneur. Even though I was the epitome of failure, I still wanted to do it, So I just continued on the journey. I prayed, I asked, I did the work, I did it all and created success for myself. And then I recognized that there were a lot of women that needed the knowledge and wisdom that I had used to change my life. So I went on this journey to just give it all to everyone that would listen. And it was really amazing. Women started manifesting money like crazy. I'm talking about millions of dollars, right? And so this interesting thing started to happen though, where everyone's in the same group, some women running with it, taking the information, the resources, everything I'm giving, and money is just falling from the skies, right? And then another group of women were just chugging along, same group, same access to everything. And I became extremely curious about that. I should say, I'm kind of like a mad scientist with manifesting.
Yeah.
So I'm in the science lab with my clients going, what is different? What is the thing that's different between these two groups? And as life always does, it gives me content. And my story where I realized what was different came in my own life with relationships, not money. So here I am, Katie. I have written a 20-page list of everything I want in a man. 20 pages.
Wow.
I get it all. 13 languages, beautiful teeth, all the things. And we're together for 3 years. And when I tell you, it was the description of toxic and abusive.
Wow.
To the extent that it's our 3rd-year anniversary and something in my body out of nowhere just says, you need to run for your life. Out of nowhere. I get on a plane. I literally go out of the country, flee the country, get to Costa Rica, check my phone, and it's messages from this man threatening my life, threatening to destroy my home,
Wow.
accusing me of all kinds of really bad things. And it just it's not just like this. And as he's doing all this, I realize, oh my gosh, he has tapped my phone. And then all the stories start stringing together, and I realize, oh my God, he's had it tapped the entire relationship. Like everything starts making sense. And
Wow.
so I remember, I have goosebumps telling this. I
Yeah.
remember going out in nature that night in Costa Rica and just on bended knee saying, God, you have got to help me understand how this is happening to me. How? Like,
Mm.
I'm a good woman. I work hard. I'm a
Mhm.
great mom. I'm like all the things good. How is this very bad thing happening? And I say to people, there was no burning bush, the clouds didn't part, like none of that happened. But I
Mhm.
just heard my answer from God, and it was, Tasha, you don't believe you deserve any more than this.
Ooh.
And I was
Wow.
like, actually, God, I think you have that wrong. Like, no offense, but I know I believe I deserve an amazing relationship. I don't know what you're talking about. And it was like, I could just imagine God smirking and going, okay, honey, well, look at the relationship you have. And then
Mm.
you tell me what you believe you deserve. And Katie, in that instant, I got the answer for myself and for my clients. The women
Mm.
that were chugging along really wanted wealth. They wanted financial freedom. They wanted all the things that more financial abundance would bring, but deeply, they did not believe they deserve it.
God. And I've seen this, Tasha. Like we can say we want it, but not believe we deserve it. And so we like start repelling it
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
push it away without even realizing what's happening.
I mean, like I still, every time I tell this, like, I get goosebumps. It's like, can you imagine, especially for the women who commit themselves to investing in themselves, doing all the things, like being really committed to changing their financial reality, and then to realize actually the thing that's getting in the way is within you.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh. Talk about the dagger, right? And
Yeah.
so I've just been like, listen, if you'll listen, I'm going to tell you how to resolve this, because that to me is,
Mm.
I mean, I had to do it for myself and my relationships, like, in terms of a romantic relationship. And
Mhm.
I'm now on the other side of that. And I go, okay, women, if you want this for money, let's go, let's do it. So yeah.
Yes. Yes. And to your point, like money is something that we do need to build a relationship with, right? We have a relationship, we have an existing relationship, might not be great, might
Yeah.
be part of why you haven't been able to create the income. And I don't fully know and understand your process, but it sounds like part of it is identifying your wounds around money. And
Yeah.
you had some things that you wanted to share with us that probably could apply to most people who are listening, where we can see where there's damage around our relationship with money.
Yes. And so, I proudly and humbly say everything I teach is 99% from my own life. Like I learned it,
Mhm.
in the lab of Tasha's life. And one of the things that I realized on my own journey, I shared with you, like I went through that phase where I filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. I had a husband who told me, if you're not contributing financially, you really have no value to the
Oh,
family. Like there were
wow.
so many
Yikes.
moments. Yeah. There were so many moments. There was another time where I had put on a 3-day event, and at the very end, I invited everyone in the room to go to the back and sign up for my program. And one woman walks directly to me and she goes, that's amazing, but I want to work with you one-on-one. What would that look like? And I go, right? I did not expect that. And I said, finally, I said it would be $25,000. And she's like, okay, great. She takes out her checkbook and she starts writing. And I go, actually, no, 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 no. Just go to the back of the room, sign up for the $5,000 thing. And she just like
Wow.
looked at me and she was like, okay. So she does that. I walk out of the room and I go, Tasha, in less than 60 seconds, probably less than 30 seconds, a woman was willing to give you $25,000 and you literally said, no. You said, go do the cheaper thing. What the heck was that about? And these
Wow.
are the experiences of my life that allowed me to realize many of us are walking around with what I call money traumas. These are past experiences with money that have left us feeling unsafe, unloved, abandoned, ashamed, guilty, wrong, right? And what happens when you have trauma is you try to protect yourself from the person, usually, that caused you to have that trauma. But in this case, it's money. And
Wow.
so many of us are walking around with what I call post-financial stress disorder. I don't call
Uh-huh.
it, that's a literal thing. And so
Yeah.
what do? Here you are, it's kind of like you're in a relationship with someone. You talk about having a relationship with money. You're in a relationship with someone you love, you want more of them in your life, but they've abused you. What do you think
Mm.
you're going to do? Back off, stay away. And in that moment, like one of the traumas for me was being raised by parents who said you have to work really hard for success. Like I've been
Oh
hearing that since
man.
I was 2 years old, right?
Yes.
So when this woman walks up to me and goes, "Here is $25,000, easy peasy," I go,
Right.
no, 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 bad, wrong, stay away. That's just my trauma response to
Yeah.
easy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's 16 of them, but another prevalent one, I'll just share two other ones with you,
Yeah.
is generational money traumas.
Oh,
I had a
hello.
woman who said to me, "Tasha, I've gone back 400 years in my family and no one has ever been wealthy."
Oh,
And so
wow.
you're like, that's not a trauma. That's just like information. Actually, no. Now here you come after 400 years of your entire family not being wealthy, saying you want to do that? What
Yeah.
do you think your family's going to say?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? Why
Who do
can't
you
you
think
just,
you are?
yeah, who do you think you
Yes.
are?
Yeah.
Right?
We're not those kinds of people.
We're not those people are bad,
Yeah.
all the things, right? All the things that come with that kind of trauma. And also just a generational experience of lack and scarcity.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much in just that one out of the 16. Um, Another great one for most women who have experienced divorce is, this is an experience where you have someone you love, and it could be that you just saw your parents fighting over money, right? But it's an
Hmm.
experience related to love and money.
Hmm.
And so for many women that I serve, it's those of us who have been through a divorce, and this person that you promised for the rest of your life to love and partner with and do all that, now you're fighting over money. And you're being told, usually by the man, what you get or don't
Yes.
get,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you best believe you're going to walk away from that going, I want nothing. I mean, you should hear the stories, Katie, of women who go, I never want to have so much money ever again that someone else can tell me what I get or what I have. For me, my husband saying, you're not valued unless you contribute financially, led me
Hmm.
to charge $25 for 90 days of coaching. Why? I didn't want to have to argue with people about my value.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
they're so multidimensional. There's so much. But I just want to say, first of all, there is hope. This might sound
Mm.
very heavy and like, oh my gosh, like, this level of awareness, it turns the light
Yeah.
on the room. And then you go, now what? Um,
Yes.
and I will just say really very, very succinctly, the same way you can think and imagine of a future experience that you've never had, right? And by imagining it, you
Okay.
create it into existence.
Yes.
You can do the same thing with a past traumatic experience. It's called
Mm.
revision. And I can sit here and imagine my husband in that moment saying, you have no value. And I can literally revise the memory. And by
Wow.
revising the memory, I create a whole new trajectory of experiences from that new memory for
Yeah.
myself going forward. So it's a whole process, but there is hope.
Okay. Okay. I'm really curious about that process, but I wanted to point something out that you're doing. I hope everyone, as they're listening to you tell your personal stories, one of the things that you're really good at, and you're just modeling it for us by sharing your stories, is this inquiry with self from a place of curiosity and less about judgment. And it's more about like, that's interesting. I have these two groups. One is able to create income, one is not. And, I think in a way, when you were on your knees in Costa Rica, you were trying to inquire, you were asking a very non-powerful question, like, why is this happening to me? That's very victim-based, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it,
yeah.
it was like, it was just where you were at. And,
Yeah.
and thankfully God spoke to you in a way that kind of pulled you out of that. And so I think that's such a powerful tool in the beginning, especially when you're trying to establish what your current relationship with money is.
Yeah.
You've got to see the truth of that first before you can start to transform that. I would guess that that's
You're absolutely right.
Where you've got to be.
You're absolutely right. Joe Dispenza says it best, knowledge is power, but self-knowledge is real power, right? And so, that inquiry process is absolutely right. And thank you for pointing that out in case anyone else tries to do that. Like, asking why is very victim-based. Why is this happening to me? Why me? It's just where I was at. But I do remember going back to my coach at the time, and she was like, that is very disempowering. And, let's ask a different question, or let's make a statement. Right. So,
yeah, I love it. Okay. So as somebody is modeling what you're sharing with us, taking inquiry, noticing how their relationship with money is really broken and they're wanting to recreate it, what are a couple steps that you would recommend to that person that they can begin to pull out of this broken relationship and really recreate it?
The simplest tool is our imagination, right? And I always say, contrast is such a rich source of information. Being aware of what's happening in your relationship with money and like really being, I'm just done enough with it is so powerful. And it informs what you do desire to experience and to have. So I remember my lowest point, crying every day on the kitchen floor and realizing, wait a second, I've just spent 8 hours worrying about money, crying, being in lack, da da da. And every single day I opened the mailbox and there was the overdraft notice, past due in red on the envelope, right? Every single day it was like, I told you I'm a scientist, right? So it was like, I just spent 8 hours doing this mentality thing here, right? And then every day there is proof of it. So the simplest tool that started this journey for me, I grabbed my journal. I wish I would have known you were going to ask me this question, because I have that journal still. I grabbed my journal, and literally, Katie, moment by moment, the fear thought would come into my mind, and I would journal the opposite. That's all I could do. I didn't know how I was going to change my reality. I didn't know where money was going to come from. I just knew I could change that thought in that moment. And so one of my greatest fears at the time, I was newly divorced. My greatest fears was if I started to create money, I was going to lose my freedom. I was spending a lot of time with my kids, which I'd never had. And I feared it's freedom or money. It's love or money, right? It's like this or that. And so I realized how trapped I was and just paralyzed by that fear. And so I grabbed my very first entry is I can have love, success, freedom, and a lot of money too. And that was it for that day, right? And I think that committing to a process of really changing your thoughts moment by moment is actually the simplest and most powerful first step to take. And then the next, if you do that for a while and you commit to doing that, I think the next greatest thing is sit and just ask yourself, okay, this is everything I hate about where I am in this moment. What is the total opposite of this? Right.
And here's the thing, like all of us can do this. And I want to really emphasize to everybody who's listening, what Tasha is sharing with us is really simple. And sometimes when something's really simple, we dismiss it. And we're like, oh, that's not the really hard, profound way that I thought it was going to be. Therefore, I'm going to write this off. And listen, like she is sharing with you the keys to the kingdom. And it's not complicated. And what you're describing is creating this new mindset, this new life. You're creating it on paper first.
Yeah.
Which is so incredible.
Oh, if we could just get that into the minds of everyone listening, it it really, can you trust me? I've shown women how to create well over $55 million. I have
Wow.
changed my life from the woman crying on the kitchen. I want to
Yeah.
cry, like remembering crying on
Yeah.
the kitchen floor in financial despair to
Mm,
living like my financial mind-blowing dream come true. And I'm
yeah.
here to tell you, it really, really, really is as simple as getting a journal and writing out, creating the new reality that you desire for yourself. It really is that simple.
Mm,
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of other things that come from that because you're going to realize, okay, now I've written it out. I've like literally gone into the restaurant called the universe and said, here's my order. Take it,
yeah.
bring it back to me quick.
Yeah.
Like you've
Yeah.
done that. And then in the meantime, you're sitting at the table and all of your worries, like, I wonder if they're going to do that steak perfect. I wonder if my potatoes are going to be, just smooth. And you're like, yeah. So now you're sitting at the table and you're going to have to do some stuff to work on yourself. But the bottom line is the chef's got your order. It's coming. Here's an end of story, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've got a question for you. Like when we're trying to progress and transform and get out of our own way, kind of one of the fast track ways of doing that is to attach this desire that you have to your identity, right?
Mhm.
And so, what are some ways that people, as they are rewriting their relationship story to money, what are some ways that they can start to? And I'll tell you what's having me ask this question is like, I look at myself and generations of women who came before me. Money was not for women. It was handed to them by their husband. It was not for them to go make. Women were not investors. Women were not financially literate. And so I think a lot of that is generational or not. Like that's part of the trauma, I think, as women in general, we
Yeah.
carry. And so, what are some kind of money found based identities that women can start to take on as they are creating themselves on paper and their relationship with money?
So again, on my own journey, I realized I have this thing that I do at the end of every year. I create not vision boards, I create manifested boards, right?
Okay. Okay.
And a manifested board, like the meaning, the word means it's already done. This is what I manifested for this next year.
Mm,
So I have one for life, one for money, and one for business.
okay.
And it's like, the vision board process. It's fun. You cut beautiful
Yeah.
pictures out, you put it on there. And then I realized one year, my next level of awareness was I see all these things on here, but like there's no Tasha. So my big breakthrough
Wow.
was to put a picture of me in the center of this board.
Wow.
And so it was like, this is Tasha with like all of these things, and there are 4 categories that we do for money. And so this is Tasha with all these things she's manifested this year. And Katie went,
Tasha,
yes.
sorry. I'm like so excited about that. That's huge. I've never seen a vision board with your face in the middle. Not you
Yeah.
specifically, but like the
Yeah.
individual. I've never seen. Okay, so good. Keep
So I
going.
just want to inspire you. Next time you have a
Yes.
board, literally call it a manifested board instead of a vision board, and just
Love it.
feel the difference, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I put this board, like I'm looking right now at the one in my office. This one's for my business. But this year, the breakthrough I got for myself, back to, I love the way that you totally called me on that. You do a lot of self-inquiry. It's like, you're right, I do.
You
So
do.
I had my money board with my picture in the middle. And I looked at it one day and I was like, I don't identify in this moment with that Tasha.
Wow.
That Tasha is living that life. This Tasha is
Yeah.
not.
She's in the future.
Yeah, she's out there in the future, right?
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
crazy awareness for me. And so I realized I know too much about this to have that just fall by the wayside. I was like, I
Mhm.
can only experience that Tasha if I first become her, if I first
Yes.
identify as her.
Yes.
Right. And I literally, again, pen to paper, the best like tool ever. And so I sat down and I wrote out this, like literally, I said, in the Bible, it says, be born again, that we can be born
Mm.
again.
Yes.
And there is the religious context for that. But
Yeah.
what I really embody from that scripture is, in any moment, I can literally choose who I want to be the next moment, right? I can be born again.
Yes.
Like, can you imagine? Like 10,000
Yes.
times today, I could be reborn, right?
Oh, I love this,
So
Tasha.
I grab my journal and I'm like, okay, so tell me about this Tasha that's up there. How does
Mhm.
she think about money? What choices, when she's making choices that involve large sums of money, does she choose the dollar amount or the experience? What does she go for? Right?
Mm.
How does she invest? What is her net worth? What is she? I mean, I literally just created this Tasha that was incredibly wealthy. And because I sat down and chiseled her,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm the one that did that. I was
You're
like,
the Michelangelo.
here I am. I am her. I am,
Wow.
yeah. And you have
Wow.
to recognize that all of that work is amazing. Vision boards and doing all that is amazing. But you have to really sit with, is this really me? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
am I really embodying? And one of the things that I have a whole class on this, you're creating your wealth identity. And one of the things that we end with is you need to decide in this moment one action that you take within 24 hours to activate, like you came out the birth canal now, right? So
Yes. Yes.
one action that literally solidifies, I am this person within 24 hours of creating her. And that's just powerful.
And why is that important, Tasha? Why is that important? The action
Because,
piece.
because I absolutely, so one of the things that I know about manifesting that a lot of people don't emphasize, right, is manifesting
Mhm.
is made up of 4 parts. It's you ask, you take inspired action, and the piece in the middle, how it all happens, that's not our part, but it is part of manifesting. You need to just understand how is part of it, but it's not your part. And then the
Okay.
end part is to receive. So
Mm.
people talk about asking and receiving a lot, but not about action, right?
Yes.
And so I know what I know for sure is that
Yeah.
without action, there is no attraction, period,
Ooh.
none. But
Yeah.
a lot of women have been, there's being emasculated. I don't know what the opposite of that is, where you've got too much masculine, right? And so we've like taken on the action piece and made it the biggest part of the formula. It's actually 10% of the formula or less. But without it, we will not attract what we are
Mhm.
asking for. And so I know that to be true. And when I guide a woman through creating this new version of her, the only way she will receive it, it will come into being, is she has to take an action.
Mm.
She has to, yeah, there has to be an action. It's also if the play on words is to activate, right? It's a way to
Okay.
activate that new version of yourself.
Wow. So good. As you describe this process of creating the vision board that you call a
Manifested board, yes.
manifested board, and you put yourself on it, and you saw how you were not that woman, and you wrote her on paper, and now you move through the world. Are you kind of suggesting or saying that you now pretend that you're that woman?
Yeah, I don't like that word pretend.
Me
Like,
neither.
I'm not
Me
playing.
neither. And I wanted people to see the distinction, because I can sense it, but I want people to see this distinction. So tell
Yeah,
us what you're doing, because it's not pretending, and I could see that. What
yeah.
is it?
It's being her. Let me tell you how that looks.
Yes.
I have booked myself a spa day at a very luxurious hotel. And old Tasha says, that's all you can get, honey, is a spa day, right? That's your limit at this hotel. So I booked my spa day. My spa appointment is at 9 a.m. I have a 6 a.m. call with someone in the UK. That's going to be 2 hours. The spa is an hour and a half from my house.
Oh,
So I'm
yikes.
literally doing my morning jog going, how am I going to do this? How am I going to finish this call, drive an hour and a
Yeah.
half and rush hour traffic to get there? And I'm like, this little quiet voice says, well, you could just stay the night. Stay the night. It's a 5 figure a night hotel. what are you talking about, Tasha? No, 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 no. Furthest we can go is to do the spa day. That's as far as we can go. And so I observed like that, suggestion and my immediate rejection of it. And my next thought, Katie, was if my husband, my child, my mother, my best friend were telling me this exact scenario in this moment, I would yank out my credit card and be like, here's a gift to you. You should stay the night. You do it. And so,
Yeah.
well, why isn't that the same process for you? And I realized back to traumas and all that, but I had a deservingness issue. And then my next thought was, what would Tasha, wealthy Tasha that you created, how would she make this decision? What's a decision that she would make in this moment? And she would absolutely go, book me the night, because I'm not for hustle and worry and stress before my spa appointment, right? That Tasha like exudes ease and wealth and luxury. And this is not a decision that she struggles over, right?
Yeah.
And so, being that Tasha means I book the hotel for the night, right? And
So then was it like easy for you to book it after that?
yes, it absolutely was. But this is the piece. I'm checking into the hotel, and this is just the way God, universe, source just says, see, so I'm checking into the hotel. Remember, this is a massive expenditure for me for a night, right? It's not a vacation. It's not a nothing other than it's going to make it convenient for me in the morning. And as I'm checking in, there's a woman next to me talking to the receptionist who says, well, yeah, we absolutely can upgrade you to that category, that room category. But that's $4,000 a night, right? And the lady says, oh, really? Oh, that's not bad. Okay. And I was like, that's it. Like next level goals, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's not bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Here I was struggling over one night. Right.
Yeah.
And it was such a moment for me to go, see, Tasha, this is how that woman responds to these choices, right? That's what it looks like, right? That's what it sounds like. That's what it feels like. And so, yes, I find myself in those moments often, Katie, and because I'm committed to being her, I understand that I am going to be standing in Neiman Marcus looking at the $500 shirt and hearing my mother go, are you crazy? What are you doing? And then I get to go, and how would wealthy Tasha make this decision? Wealthy Tasha walks up to the shirt. She doesn't turn the price tag first and decide if she's going to have it. She walks up to the shirt. She tries it on. She loves it. It's beautiful. And she goes, is this the thing that I want in this moment? Yes. Okay, let's go to the cash register and pay for it. That's not pretending. It's embodying and being. And it's especially in those moments where you're in choice. That's when you get the greatest opportunity to be her.
Yeah. And that's what I'm seeing as you're articulating all of this, is at the end of the day, it's a decision. And that's the difference between faking and pretending and being.
Yes.
It is choosing to be her now. And it's taking that woman that you created on paper through decision and definition and articulation and writing her on paper. And it's like, okay, cool. She exists on paper. How can you pull her into reality? And it's by, to your point, being. That's how you pull her in. And it's going to make some parts of you squirm big time. And like you said, it's going to have parts of you screaming out, well, what's your mom going to say when she finds out? Right. And let those parts scream. Because at the end of the day, you ultimately are empowered where you're choosing and where you're aligning with that.
Yes.
Oh, I love this, Tasha. So good. So good. I wanted to share an identity piece that I discovered is, my husband is incredible with money. And he from when I met him in college, and even then he was thinking about the multiple businesses that he wanted and the kind of investor he wanted to be. And in fact, he's in my phone as the speculator from when we met in college. It's like, that was always his identity. And it was only just like in the last few years that I started to realize I was allowing him to be the investor. And I was not taking on that identity. And it was part of that generational trauma and my relationship with money. And it was so funny because at first I like, would you wouldn't be so bold to do that, would you, Katie, to like start calling yourself an investor? Like there was totally resistance there.
Yeah. Wow.
All I'm going to say is like, I think there's an opportunity in particular for women. I think everything that you're sharing applies to both men and women for sure. And there's always another level. Like, I don't care how successful you have been, there's another level. And it's funny because I just picked my son up yesterday. We live in Puerto Rico and he was hanging out with friends in Dorado, and like some of the ultra rich live in Dorado, and he was hanging out with a friend. And it's just hearsay, but I think their house is like a $60 million home, no big deal. And it's funny because his friend who lives in like a $10 million home was also talking to my son, and he was like, they were talking about how they're kind of the poor people in the neighborhood because they don't have their own full-size personal gym in their home. And it's funny because there's always another level, and there's an opportunity for us to continually grow, continually generate more wealth and more resources. Absolutely. And so what you're sharing applies to everybody.
It does, but
there's always another level.
There is. And I think we really hit on something, to leave everyone thinking through, is to look at how you identify with money. Mm-hmm. What's the identity level with, and my whole thing now is I'm big into numerology, and my numerologist says the frequency of the word money numerologically is very low. So it's all about wealth for me this year, right? And so
interesting.
Even going from saying money to wealth, literally, everything I've been doing has been the money attraction challenge. I literally changed it to wealth with ease activation, and the result of my launch is like double. The exact same thing I did. Everything is exact except I changed the name, right? And so I realized, though, one of the things that my team, we talked about is, the people that have been coming along for money are going to have a response when they hear wealth. It's going to be, I don't identify with that. That's not for me. We can talk about money and manifesting money all day long, but now, Tasha, you've gone to wealth. I can't even see that for myself. It's so interesting. And I love that example about with your husband. And again, just in the gender roles, like, my husband manages the money and I don't know, I do whatever else, right? Even in my business, one of my things, so I have a business partner, we're both women, and I came into our partnership with a lot of my money traumas where I wouldn't even pay myself. I wouldn't write a check to myself to pay myself because I was like, the money is better off in the bank because I've had bankruptcy. I've done this, I've done that. I've been a failure with money. So you know what? I don't even want to take it for myself. Let it stay there. And she is way better at money than me. Right? Because she's not filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. She had a successful business. I mean, it's just so incredible. But I think that is something for us to kind of all just sit with. Even me, I don't know about you, but even listening to you, I'm like, $60 million for a house, right? I'm like, okay, where's the dial for my identity? Further.
Yeah. Tasha, I really appreciate this conversation. I think you've really exposed, like personally, I'm seeing opportunities for growth for myself, and I'm really excited to do a manifested board like you described and put my photo in that. I've never done it in that way. And I think there's an incredible opportunity there. I loved hearing your process of inquiry and really identifying current relationship with money versus what it is that you want and choose. And then how can we pull her into being now and be her now and make decisions as her now. And by doing so, transform our wealth, not just the money and the numbers in our bank account, but transform our wealth. I loved that distinction. So I want to make an invitation to everybody who's listening. I hope that as you were listening, you too saw the opportunities for you as you are continuing to compound your wealth and expand your reach and see the opportunities that are currently in front of you, maybe the ways in which you're getting in your own way, and how you can take these tools that Tasha has shared with us and begin to implement them, utilize them in your own life so that you can have greater reach. And Tasha, I know that we are just scratching the surface on how you can help and support people. So will you share with people resources that you have, ways that they can connect with you, the program that you've described a little bit? Share a little bit about that.
Oh, absolutely. So the easiest way to connect with me for all the resources would just be to go to my website, tashachen.com. One of the things that I have there, which you'll love, is using universal principles. I'm a big believer that gratitude is actually a strategy tool for
Love it.
business. And so the thing that I offer to everyone that goes to my website is a gratitude for business journal.
Mm.
And literally it's just 30 days of different prompts that allow you to think, what can I be grateful for in my business? I also have one for money. There's a lot of those that you can get on the website and learn more about my programs. I just launched something very new, which I'm excited about. It's called a Wealth Ascension Mastermind.
Wow.
And to tell you the truth, it might not even yet be on my website because
I love it.
it's like, I'm literally just talking about it, but I'm very excited about it because I have been meeting a lot of next level women who have been well on their journey in personal development, law of attraction, all those things, but they want a safe space to really dream bigger, to give themselves permission to do the healing work with traumas that keep them limited in some way still. And that's my thing that I'm lit up about in this moment. So yeah, anyone listening that want to reach out to talk about that, I'd love to share more about it with you.
It's such a good name, Tasha. Wealth Ascension Mastermind. Hello. Yes. Yeah, that's so good. Well, thank you for taking the time to share your story, your wisdom with us, your process, and giving us these guides and steps that we can take to really expand our own personal wealth, and really appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you. One of the things that happens in a container like this is I'm here for you to share with you, but in this conversation, I've gotten so much myself. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, you are welcome. And for everybody who's listening, this is What's Working Now. Okay, was that not amazing? What is the one takeaway that you have from today's episode? Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, leave us a rate and review. Find me on Instagram, katie.live. You can also find me on Facebook, katierichardsson.live. If you're listening to all of this and you're like, Katie, this is amazing and I want more of your help, I have an invitation for you. You have an amazing opportunity to get my help inside of your business. And it's through a challenge called #Katie's Clarity. I am going to come in, I'm going to show you how to create radical clarity. What happens when we have this radical clarity is we get unstuck and we have the vision and the visibility to identify the next step that you need to take. That's what we do inside of #Katie's Clarity. So come join me. We dropped a link for you to this challenge in the show notes. Lastly, I want to make sure you're not missing out. So go to what'sworkingnow.com, drop in your email there, and we will make sure you only get the good stuff. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next episode.